first thing you got to remember is that the wife is always right. If you're in a situation and you're doubting whether or not your wife is right, just keep in mind that your wife is right.
You understand that for the most part, a woman might be more intelligent than a man, and it doesn't lessen the man in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
Watching Heart Bits, where we talk love, sex, relationships, and every fun thing in between.
Hey guys, welcome once again. Today I have a very special guest with me, and I'm going to be asking him some questions because he is a happily married man and he is enjoying his marriage. And I just want to put him like on the, should I say, not on a hot seat, but like on the spotlight, right? And I want to ask some questions that I, as a single woman, would like to ask a man like this who's enjoying his marriage beautifully. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr.
Thank
David.
you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I just want to ask you something. What's the advice that you would give to a guy, any man out there that is looking for someone that can be a life companion?
Well, I think that marriages are actually quite simple. I think the first thing you got to remember is that the wife is always right. If you're in a situation and you're doubting whether or not your wife is right, just keep in mind that your wife is right, okay? Most of the times we end up marrying partners that we acknowledge are more intelligent than we are, right? That's usually the first step. Okay,
I'm just going to pause you right there because first of all, that is an incredible acknowledgement, and it's an acknowledgement that most Nigerian men don't, and I don't say this with any kind of disrespect, but I want to ask you something. Did you really, really grow up in Nigeria?
I did not. And I wouldn't say that means that Nigerian men don't acknowledge this, because actually a lot of them do.
Yeah.
They may not say it out in public.
Yeah.
But they do.
Okay.
And I think it's a worldwide thing. I think a lot of men, because you also have to acknowledge that women mature faster than men.
Okay.
I think that's a globally accepted,
understandable,
thing.
Yeah.
So if you are marrying your wife, maybe she's a few years younger than you. Most people end up marrying their spouses that are either the same age or younger.
Yeah.
You'll find out that they are more emotionally intelligent, or
stable.
They are, yes, they're stable.
Okay.
So once you acknowledge that, then you can find a wife that, you yourself as a man know that she's a very good companion because she can match you either in intellect or otherwise. And most of the times you know that she's a bit smarter than you because you need that support, you need that help. Most of the times men are looked at as being the man of the house and so forth, make all the decisions and so forth. But however, if you have a partner that can support you in all the decisions you're making, can give you the right advice, you can go very, very far.
Thank you so much for saying this, because I feel like most people, the average Nigerian man I believe is an intelligent man, and most Nigerians are super intelligent, especially when they leave the shores of Nigeria, they thrive outside. But there's this cultural thing where a man believes that he's the head, right? And therefore, he is more often than not right, and his wife has to follow suit, regardless of whether he's making mistakes or not. Mm-hmm. So it's really impressive to hear you say that you understand that for the most part, a woman might be more intelligent than a man, and it doesn't lessen the man in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
This is something that I wish a lot of Nigerian men would understand. And it's not, and here's the thing about it also, it's not even most Nigerian men's fault that they reason the way that they do. It's mostly religion and culture. There's this African mentality, especially if you are brought up in a culture where it's very, very African and very traditional. It's like, you are the head, but your woman is supposed to kowtow to you. So whatever decisions you make in life, whether they be good or bad, she has to just take them and go along with it, regardless of whether she might have a different opinion. So it's incredible to know that in 2022, there are men who say, I know that a woman is probably more intelligent than I am, but it doesn't make me any less of a person. And if I can acknowledge that, then that means I can have a peaceful and beautiful home. And thank you very much for that. I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I was going to add to that. I was going to say that, in African societies primarily, there's usually the patriarchal system,
right?
Which is the man is the head of the house and the man stands for all. And I think now that we're going into 2022, there's definitely a shift, right? There's definitely an acknowledgement. So the typical person that might have grown up in an environment where they were just taught that the man is the dominant figure and this and that, has access to their phones now, right? So they're watching movies, they're watching documentaries, they're watching different things, and they're seeing that doesn't apply worldwide, right? They're seeing that there's a lot more equality than they thought. And they're now seeing, because this is also something that is being readily shown, especially in Hollywood and other places, that women are just as powerful. Women have just as much power as men. Women are able to achieve just as much or even greater than men. And so there's now this understanding that, okay, maybe it's not like we thought it was back in the day. And so there's definitely a shift to that understanding. And it's going to take some time, just like anything takes some time, just like it took time in the U.S. for Black people to get more rights and more equality and so forth, which we're still working towards and we're still fighting for. But in this societies, the same thing is happening. Right now, there's a huge penetration for internet with most people that may not normally be able to afford internet. So phones are a lot more affordable now. Internet becoming more affordable. So you may have people...
It's so easy to learn.
It's easier to learn. There's more access to YouTube and other channels where you can actually see stuff that is happening out there. So I think there's going to be, over the next coming years, there's definitely going to be more and more paradigm shift with regards to how women are perceived and so forth.
You're watching Hardcase, where we talk love, sex, relationships, and every fun thing in between.
Thank you so much. And also something I took away from what you just said right now is the understanding that there is a way that life happens outside of what you've been taught and outside of what you've learned, and realizing that someone else you being taught that a gender was lesser than you, realizing that they are actually not lesser than you does not make you less than they are.
Correct.
That's what I will keep hammering that. Like, I've met women who defer to their men, women who say, my man is 100% the sole breadwinner, he's the head of the family, whatever decisions he makes, I stand behind him because he's that intelligent. There are women who do that, and they have a beautiful, comfortable life because she's in the position to let him lead because that's what she wants. She's comfortable with that. Now, there are other people who would say if a woman is more vocal, is more out there, she's more quick on her feet. Being with a man who feels like, oh, he has to be the one who's the head, is like there's this clash. But if he can understand that he's a man, regardless of whether she's
doesn't take anything from him.
Whether your woman is shooting fire from her nostrils, you are a man. It doesn't change that at all. Like, if that understanding is actually helping people to have more understandable and more should I say compassionate and equal relationships. But it would take a while, I feel like, for that to like trickle down to the common Nigerian guy on the road, on the street, who feels like, I'm the man of the soil, I'm the guy, So another thing I wanted to ask you is like, how do you resolve disagreements and differences with a woman who is as intelligent as your wife is?
You got to understand where she's coming from.
Right.
A lot of times we have a certain perception or a certain notion of what we believe is right or wrong. And most of the time you have to just take a step back. Men are very egotistical.
True.
We are. We love our ego. We're the man. We don't want you talking to anybody. We jealous. Men are more so that kind of person. So what happens is that sometimes our spouse has certain issues with something, right? And instead of us understanding what that issue is, to also protect our own ego and protect everything else about, what it is we find important to us, we end up going round about the particular topic. We talk about everything else but the particular issue that person is having. And sometimes it drives our women crazy. Drives them insane.
That's true.
So there's sometimes, and I've seen this in my marriage where, let's say my wife has a particular issue, and I'll talk about everything else but that issue. because I may find everything else relevant.
Right.
But she's only specifically
Just
talking about
waiting.
this issue.
Yes.
So if we can take a step back and actually understand what the particular issue is, I think we'll be much better off, because once you address that issue, usually your spouse is okay. Once you address the particular problem that she is upset about or whatever the case is, she's ready to move on. I mean, she doesn't want to fight with you forever. She wants this topic addressed. And oftentimes we as guys, we try to bravado our way out of it, and so I find that communication is a very, very important thing, and you got to understand your spouse and understand what they're looking for in order for it to be a successful marriage.
Absolutely agree with that. Thank you so much. That is like, for those of you that are wondering if men like this actually exist, yes, actually, they do exist. It's like the understanding that you can be as smart as you want to be as smart, but if you understand that for peace to reign in a particular environment that you are in, you have to consider someone else aside from yourself. Basically, you cannot be selfish when you're married. That's all I'm taking from this discussion right now. You cannot be selfish. Otherwise, you might as well just remain single.
Pretty much. It can't work if you're selfish. It can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can't.
Thank you again for gracing me with this amazing presence.
Not a problem.
I am so grateful to have you, and I hope I can invite you back again.
Absolutely,
to give them
I'll be
nuggets.
more than happy to come back. Love it.
Great. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I would definitely get to you, and we can address them in the next video that comes up. So, cheers, and I'll see you soon.
All right.